The Indigenous Feminist Organizing School is a collaborative effort between Grassroots Global Justice Alliance, Black Mesa Water Coalition, and the Indigenous Environmental Network. The school brought together Indigenous organizers, activists, and leaders from Canada, the United States, Mexico, and Guatemala. During the school, we discussed feminisms from an Indigenous perspective, and we also discussed patriarchy and an understanding that the struggle to dismantle patriarchy is a key and necessary component of the struggle for the liberation of all Indigenous peoples.
This was an experiment to really start to figure out how to untangle and talk about and figure out what we're going to do about the issue of patriarchy in Indigenous communities. And so that's what this gathering was. We had nearly 70 people from all over the US, even from out of the country, to get together and try to figure this big issue out.
For me, Indigenous feminism, I really like to think about, even this isn't our word, but matriarchy. And really it's based on my foundational values as a Seminole Creek woman. I had a lot of strong women in my family, and we're matrilineal, matriarchal, and they kind of fostered that or built that foundation of just women leadership and having ownership in that leadership, and using that as a guide for our families and our communities.
It's a real patriarchal in our communities, even through our councils and stuff, that as women we're going in there and reminding them who we are and where we sit at that table.
I am basically trying to merge understandings of, or critiques of, mainstream feminism, which as a young woman have grown to understand as something that does not represent Indigenous people and Indigenous experiences. But as an Indigenous woman coming from a colonized people, I understand how patriarchy has affected our own communities.
As a community organizer, I've learned, I've been surrounded by strong women, specifically Indigenous women, that have taken up space. Trying to live my life as someone that's queer has become political, and it's been repressed by my own family. I've been told that Black women are not loud, not confrontational, not doing my work in a good way. And I see that this system plays really well into patriarchy, and in the whole system of really taking advantage of our Indigenous women, of our land. Because when we try to speak peacefully in our culture against the violation of our land and the violation of our women and children, we're told not to be confrontational.
We have so many spaces that we're not a part of or welcome anymore, and that's why a lot of our communities are toxic or sick. It's about the balance of that medicine.
There's absolutely a disdain for women having a voice, for women being too loud, for women being overbearing, for women being objects, for women being there for a man's pleasure. But sort of this colonial idea of gender roles absolutely is a part of our communities, and it's reduced women to being less respected in our communities.
I believe that any type of just transition has to include human justice for our LGBTQ community, and to open up those discussions about our traditions that were inclusive of all people.
One of my favorite parts of the gathering is being in the space of a lot of people who are prepared to lean into these difficult conversations. I think for a lot of people doing movement work or organizing work, it can feel very isolating sometimes to be a quote-unquote like radical in your own community or in your own homelands, or maybe even in your own family.
I think my favorite part of the school was, really the collection of women that I've gotten to meet. We also have the solidarity, and that women are rising up, and we are doing this work, and we're not going to back down.
Para mí, la experiencia en esta escuela de formación fue muy importante porque me permitió conectarme con otras mujeres indígenas de los Estados Unidos y de México. y que pudiéramos también hablar desde nuestra raíz, de nuestras realidades como pueblos indígenas en la región. Fue muy importante porque nos permitió conocer que tenemos muchos parecidos, tenemos prácticas tradicionales que también se parecen mucho, pero sobre todo que guardan varios principios importantes que creo que pueden ayudarnos a recomponer nuestro tejido social, pero sobre todo las relaciones que tenemos en nuestras comunidades. Es importante recuperar estos principios como el equilibrio, la armonía, porque son fundamentales para que podamos transformar las relaciones de poder que hoy en día vivimos. Nuestras sociedades están siendo afectadas por el patriarcado, por el colonialismo, por el capitalismo, y eso nos están matando, nos están destruyendo, y es importante como mujeres indígenas que podamos hablar, reflexionar juntas para poder crear un pensamiento más político, más crítico sobre las situaciones que vivimos y que nos permitan retomar nuestra raíz.
I have faith and I have hope that there's a new beginning. There's a new beginning with our youth and bringing them into this circle and offering them this discussion.
I feel like what we've done here is just started a fire that I want to see spread across Indian country, that empowers women to go home to their organizations and challenge that boss who keeps, misusing you, or challenge that tribal leader who says that you need to be quiet because it's not your place as a woman to speak out, and do all of these things. Coming out of this, it's just obvious that there's so much need for support, like funding support, organizing support to really turn these ideas and concepts into tangible tools, tangible workshops, and tangible things that we can do in Indigenous communities to make sure that we eradicate patriarchy in our work.